In 2023, the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam hosted the largest exhibition ever of the works of Johannes Vermeer, having 28 out of a total of about 35 known paintings from this Dutch Baroque master. The exhibition was a quick sellout and a huge success. And as Vermeer only created such few paintings, this video is going to look at some of his colleagues painting similar themes. On the one hand, it may become clear why some people prefer Vermeer's work over those of his colleagues like Pieter de Hooch, Gabriël Metsu and Gerrit Dou. On the other hand, and maybe more importantly, I hope to introduce some of these colleagues who also made wonderful interior scenes so that you have a chance to appreciate those works in a museum near you. There are three important reasons behind the success of Vermeer, which I discussed in detail in another video on this channel. First, most of his works capture a frozen moment in time, begging viewers to ask the question what happened before and after the scene we see in the painting. And many of his works also trigger the question of what is going through the mind of the person depicted. Second, works by Vermeer are unique for their harmony and balance in his compositions. Vermeer was a true perfectionist, spending several months on a single painting, searching for a visual harmony that strangely pleases many viewers. And the third reason for this timeless appeal is the way he incorporated light in his works. With incredible precision and patience, he painted the shadows and shades in his works as a result of the sunlight entering the room. Arguably, the three most famous Dutch Baroque artists are Rembrandt, Vermeer and Frans Hals. They were active in the 17th century current-day Netherlands, but they were far from the only ones, as you will hear soon. Because the Netherlands had just converted from Catholicism to Protestantism, the Catholic Church no longer commissioned religious artworks, so artists had to find a new market and be innovative in the themes they painted. As during the 17th century, the Netherlands was among, if not the richest country in the world. There were many private patrons who started to collect art, like the interior scenes of Vermeer. And these paintings were not that big, as they had to fit in the living and bedrooms of the relatively smaller houses back in the day. I will randomly show you some works by artists who specialized in interior scenes, and you will see that the themes they painted were fairly similar to those of Vermeer, but that these artists all had their own particular style. They are all so-called genre paintings, showing scenes from everyday life where the people depicted are unidentified. And just for reference, the works shown here are all from the second half of the 17th century. Vermeer was born in 1632 and died at age 43 in 1675. And all artists shown here were born around the same time, though most of them lived a bit longer than Vermeer. Let's start with some artists from the Leiden School, named after a city some 25 miles north of Amsterdam. Actually, Rembrandt was born in Leiden, but he moved to Amsterdam, the capital, as that was where the richest people lived. But the generation after Rembrandt included artists like Gerrit Dou, Gabriël Metsu and Frans Vermeer the Elder. They specialized in small interior scenes painted with great precision. The most successful of this school was Gerrit or Gerrit Dou, and among all Dutch Baroque painters from the 17th century, he probably charged the highest prices for his works. To understand the size of his paintings, this girl chopping onions measures only 21 by 17 centimeters, or 8 by 7 inches. So it may be helpful to compare a similar themed work by Gerrit Dou, the one on the left here entitled A Woman Playing a Clavichord, with a painting by Vermeer, seen on the right here, entitled Lady Standing at the Virginal. Both were painted within a decade of each other. Vermeer's painting measures some 52 by 47 centimeters, so not that big, but some 60% bigger than the work by Dou. You can see how Dou included a lot of detail. It's a kind of painting that you have to inspect very closely to admire all the smaller elements painted very finely. Vermeer, on the other hand, came up with a more harmonious composition, a bit calmer, and it's particularly the way he incorporated light that sets it apart. I'm not here to judge which one is better, but if you look at the shading on the walls in both paintings, you see that the transition from light to dark is pretty sharp in the painting on the left, while Vermeer has an extremely gentle and refined transition from light to dark. Another noticeable artist from the Leiden School was Gabriël Metsu. He was a more eclectic artist, painting a variety of themes, including interior scenes like Vermeer. Again, compare a work by Metsu on the left with one by Vermeer on the right. And while this is in my opinion not the best work by Vermeer, you can once again see the precision with which Vermeer incorporated the light. Just look at the left arm of both women, the folds and shading on their clothes, and the light on the walls. And again, Vermeer preferred a less crowded composition to create a calmer and more harmonious feeling. But overall, I think that Metsu was one of the artists who got closest to some of the unique characteristics in the works of Vermeer, as you can perhaps see in this wonderful Man Writing a Letter from 1665. And then there was also Frans van Mieris the Elder, of whom you can see two of his works here. His works were rarely bigger than 10 by 15 inches, and just like Gerrit Dou, full of detail. While Johannes Vermeer was to a large extent self-taught, at least there has been no consensus that he trained with any famous artist, he was definitely not the first to create his interior scenes. The person who was most influential in developing this genre was Gerrit Terborch the Younger, who started to paint these kind of scenes in the 1650s. He traveled widely and was popular across Europe, and he came up with a genre of interior scenes, taking the viewer into the private life and homes of the people depicted. There are three artists that you may not have heard much about that I would like to introduce to you at the end of this video. Like the earlier ones, I'll pronounce their names in Dutch, as I was born there originally. The first one, and perhaps the one artist who is most similar in some aspects to Johannes Vermeer, is Pieter de Hooch. Just like Vermeer, he lived in Delft and he became a member of the local painting guild 2 years after Vermeer. You can recognize many of his works by the patterned black and white tiles on the floor, which helped him to get the linear perspective right. Both painters are believed to have influenced each other, and whereas the scenes in Vermeer's work were situated in a single room, usually his studio, the works of de Hooch mostly include a view into the distance. Other honorable mentions for artists with a somewhat similar style to Vermeer are Nicolaas Maes, a student of Rembrandt, whose work you can see here, and also Caspar Netscher, who was mostly active in The Hague, and Eglon van der Neer, who was active in Rotterdam, the Netherlands, for 2 decades. Well, I hope I've introduced you to some artists that worked in similar themes as Johannes Vermeer. I really like some of their works, but it's up to you to decide which artist you enjoy most. And I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Nowadays, Vermeer is very popular, but some of these contemporaries have wonderful works as well, and they made many more works than Vermeer, giving a bigger chance to see those works in person sometime. Finally, if you want to support my channel, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and hit the notifications bell to be alerted when new videos are released. Thanks for watching and all your support.